Hey, what's up, band kids, young and old? This is Russ, also known as RK Slave from Marching Band is Awesome, with another drum corps video. Today we're going to be talking about DCI and what's shaping up to be a great season in 2017. There were several shows since my last video, but tonight we're going to be focusing pretty much on one show, and that's the one from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma last night. We got a chance to see all of this season's front runners face off in the Tour of Champions Oklahoma show. But before we dive into that, let's take a look at this week's community question. Here's a question that I asked over on Instagram and Facebook. Do you think the whole drum corps ensemble should be mic'd? The feedback came in like a flood. I'd love your thoughts here on YouTube as well. Drop a comment below with your thoughts on whether the entire drum corps ensemble should be mic'd. Now, before we get to the Tour of Champions, let's break down our unofficial open class top 5 as of right now. In 5th place with a score of 60.550 is Legends. They earned a second place finish at the Atlanta Brass Classic in Woodstock, Georgia on Saturday night. Sitting in 4th place with a score of 62.860, Music City posted their first place winning score at the Atlanta Brass Classic on Saturday night. In 3rd place with a score of 63.250 is Gold, whose last performance earned them a 3rd place finish at the SoCal Classic Open Championship in Bellflower, California. Fighting for that top spot is the Vanguard Cadets, who posted a 69.750 to take 2nd place at the SoCal Classic. This was less than a point behind the 1st place finishing corps at the same competition, who is also our number 1 spot for our unofficial countdown. Showing us the world the children made and holding on to the number 1 spot in our unofficial countdown for open class is the Blue Devils B Corps, who jumped up into the 70-point club by scoring a 1st place finishing 70.400 Sunday night at the SoCal Classic. Big kudos to all the open class corps who have been working very hard to bring great shows to the field this season. In world class competition, we had a very exciting build up to last night, which was Tuesday night, July the 18th. The Bluecoats, the Blue Devils, Cadets, Cavaliers, Crown, and Vanguard all performed their shows on the same field. So many of you have said, and rightly so before, that a lot of our unofficial top 12 rankings don't really matter until events like this week. And so for the first time, we were able to see some of the top contenders get out on the same competition field and be judged by the same judges. Before we get to that, though, let's talk about a few notable moments from the last few days. On Saturday, the Cadets jumped up into the 80-point club for the first time by scoring an 81.200 at the Tour of Champions, Northern Illinois. This was good enough for a 3rd place finish behind the 2nd place Cavaliers, who scored an 83.200, and the surging Santa Clara Vanguard, who won with an 84.550. The Troopers dueled their way into the 70-point club for the first time on Saturday night with their Duels and Duets show in Denver at the Drums Along the Rockies show. In that show, the Blue Devils continued their undefeated streak with a 1st place scoring 85.000, followed by the Bluecoats, who scored an 83.850, and the Blue Knights, who scored a 79.100. In Alexandria, Kentucky, the Jersey Surf moved up into the 60-point club for the first time with their Make It Our Own show at the DCI Northern Kentucky competition. Crown took first with an 84.100. Boston Crusaders followed with an 81.950, and the Madison Scouts took 3rd, scoring a 76.400 at that show. On Monday night, Santa Clara Vanguard earned their highest score of the season with an 86.300 at the Brass Impact show from Olathe, Kansas. That gave them the high score and allowed them to stay at number 1 in the unofficial top 12, a position they were holding for the last few competitions. Okay! The Blue Devils were hot on their heels, landing a 1st place finish over in El Dorado, Kansas at the Drums Across Kansas show. They put up an impressive 86.000 to beat the Bluecoats, who scored an 85.300. In Bentonville, Arkansas, at the Music on the Move show, Carolina Crown stayed in the hunt with the 1st place finishing 84.550, which topped the Boston Crusaders' 81.950. Tuesday night brought us one show from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. The Tour of Champions Oklahoma competition was an exciting event for drum corps fans because all the heavyweights were in the same ring on the same night, fighting it out for that number 1 spot. Let's run down the event scores, and then we'll talk about the specifics in more detail. In 8th place with a 79.700, Phantom Regiment. In 7th place, just 1/10 ahead of Phantom, was the Blue Knights, who scored a 79.800. The Cadets landed in the 6th spot with an 81.650. Rounding out the top 5 in 5th place was the Cavaliers, who scored 83.250. In fourth, the Bluecoats scored a strong 85.150, missing third place by 7/10 of a point. Carolina Crown took that third place by posting an 85.850. Duking it out for that top spot with only half a point separating them, Vanguard scored an 86.250 and the Blue Devils scored a high-scoring 86.750. The top four places were separated by just over 1.5 points, so things should be really exciting as we move deep into the season. Now, I've seen a few comments for which I am extremely appreciative asking for more details about the specific scoring categories. If you're not familiar with DCI scoring, or if you're just a casual fan, each performance is scored by several judges who score a specific category. There are 8 judges who score in these following categories, often called captions: general effect, visual, and music. These are broken down into several subcategories like visual proficiency, visual analysis, color guard, brass, and percussion. Now that's not all of the subcaptions, but it does give you an idea of some of the things they are looking for when judging. Let's talk music total caption first. Carolina outscored everyone when it came to the music portion of judging with a 26.30. Santa Clara Vanguard scored a 25.90 and Bluecoats earned a 25.85. The Blue Devils, who are currently first in overall scoring, came in fourth with a 25.75. But how does that break down? Well, in DCI scoring, the total music caption is divided into 3 subcategories: brass, music analysis, and percussion. Let's take a look at those. Crown took first in brass with a 17.50, followed closely by the Blue Devils, who scored a 17.20. In third, the Bluecoats scored a 17 even, and Vanguard, who are currently second in overall scoring, scored a 16.90 for fourth place in brass. In percussion, Vanguard scored 17.60 for first, and just 1/10 of a point behind with a 17.50, the Bluecoats took second. Carolina Crown posted a 17.40 for third, which was their lowest music score, followed by the Cavaliers with a 17.10 and Blue Devils with a 16.90. The top 3 spots were only separated by 2/10 of a point. Taking a look at the total visual caption, we see a slightly different lineup, but the Blue Devils are still at the top with a 26.10, followed by Vanguard at 25.95, and then Crown with a 25.350. The Blue Devils scored 17.40 for first in the visual guard caption, which was just 1/10 of a point above the 17.30 scoring Vanguard. The Cavaliers took third with a 17.00 and almost a point below BD, and fourth was Crown with a 16.70. The judges for GE are looking at both visual and musical elements of the show, in essence judging the entire show. Blue Devils took the first spot in both general effect, visual, and music, which gave them first place in total general effect with a 34.90. I'm not going to cover every single one of those captions in every single video, but what I'm going to try to do is take a look at the caption scores and then kind of pull out who is strong in an area and who is weak in an area, and where our top 4 or 5 are scoring in these different areas and how they can improve. Don't forget, the community question this week is, should the entire drum corps ensemble be mic'd? People are very opinionated about this, as they should be. So I want to hear your opinions about this. If you love marching band and you love videos like this, hit that subscribe button. I really, really appreciate it. If you like this video, go ahead and smash that like button. I appreciate it so much. I'm Russ, also known as RK Slade for Marching Band is Awesome. And remember, marching band is awesome because you're awesome. See you on the next video.
With another marching band. With another drum corps video today. With another drum corps video today. With another drum corps video. Forgot what kind of video I was doing today. Drum corps.